if not sooner. Jason Scheer, Wildcat Authority. He will do anything to get a segment on this show, from realignment to now coaching changes. I can't even imagine the mood right now in Tucson, Jason. I heard about the 3-minute meeting. Are they closing in your opinion, on a target to replace Jedd Fisch?
Yeah, I think Arizona's going to have a head coach here in the next 48 hours. The athletic director, Dave Hickey, just met with the team briefly. He says, be patient. We're going to get this done soon. There's meetings with the NIL collective and all that today. Interviews started as recent as last night. And in this day and age, you can't drag out the process. I expect Arizona to have a head coach by Wednesday.
Jason, who makes sense for them, and is there trepidation just because they hit the ball out of the park with Jedd Fisch, and before that they'd had a history of strikeouts?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of skepticism about how this whole thing's going to go. There's really two schools of thought right now. Johnny Nansen, the former defensive coordinator, is the guy that can keep most of the roster together. He's also never been a head coach before, and with Arizona, the last 2 years was his first time as a coordinator. But he can absolutely keep most of the team together. Or do you hire a guy like Brent Brennan, who's had a lot of success at San Jose State, who learned from former Arizona coach Dick Tomey, who has ties to Tucson and would be here for quite a while. And those are probably the two guys that have emerged the most. And Arizona has a decision to make if it's willing to risk losing players or if it wants to go with the quick fix in Nansen and see how that works out.
Jason, so the meeting, I guess, with Jedd Fisch was 3 minutes. Is that correct? Can you kind of just give us some insight on his final, I guess, hurrah there in Tucson before getting on the jet and heading up to Seattle?
Yeah, someone that was in the meeting told me that it felt like the Washington AD had the car running and he had to get out of there real quick. It was like, it was basically, he went in the meeting, he said, I don't really know what to say. I've accepted a job for Washington. I'm headed there, and thanks for everything. And that was like the entire meeting.
Wow. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, what are you going to say, right? I guess there's not much to say. Now, I know there's a lot of talk about Arizona right now, some financial pitfalls because of, bad accounting. And there's a lot of talk on your Twitter timeline with people, of course, about, is that why they lost Jedd Fisch? Was there anything, Jason, that Arizona really could have realistically done to keep Jedd Fisch from going to the Big Ten into Washington? And B, how much of a problem could their financial issues in the university have when it comes to any athletics decisions coming up?
Yeah, I really don't think so because, look, Washington's paying Jedd Fisch like $7.5 million over 7 years. The state of Arizona has an actual law where you can't make a state employee you can't give a state employee a contract longer than 5. So the max contract you can get is 5 years. And Arizona is never paying a head football coach $7 million. It's just not going to happen. And so there was no way that they were ever going to match the money with Washington. Now, they were prepared to give Fisch an extension and a raise, and it was completely booster funded. And they had that ready. I assume that'll be able to go towards a new head coach, and then they get $5.5 million from Washington for Jedd Fisch's buyout. But again, Arizona's not going to hire some sitting coach that's making $6.5 million a year. Whoever they hire is going to be a guy that's going to make, $4 million a year, $5 million a year with escalators if he does well and bonuses and things like that. That's just the reality of the situation, and it was before the budget issues.
Noah Fifita at all. What is the panic level on the transfer portal?
To me, it comes down to who the hire is. From his family is saying, and he has a great family, they're saying all the right things. They're going to wait to see who the hire is. If it's Johnny Nansen, I think there's a very real chance that Noah Fifita could surprise people nationally and stay at Arizona. If it's not, I think he probably leaves unless he has a relationship with a new head coach. But, one thing that's always impressed me about this roster is a lot of them come from really good families, very sound decision makers and all that. And the biggest thing that I've gotten in the last 24 hours is shock, but they're also willing to see what's going to happen.
Jason, so how much do you feel like with Fisch? First of all, more money. Washington coming off the national championship game. They're headed to the Big Ten. Did the conferences changing have anything to do with what we now see?
I don't think so. I really don't. I know that Jedd he was a West Coast guy in terms of football coaching. He probably would have liked to see the Pac-12 stay together. He said that publicly, but I don't think it never really came up in conversations with him or his recruiting guys or assistant coaches. It was kind of business as usual. But Jedd's also a guy that wants the bigger stage. And at the end of the day, the Big Ten nationally is probably the bigger stage. And he's always going to kind of look for that next move up. And they'll do the same at Washington. That's just the guy. He's never been at a spot for more than 3 years, ever. He's been at like 15 coaching spots already in his career. And so if he does well at Washington and in 3 years he gets an offer, he'll probably take that too. That's just kind of who he is. He's always trying to move up or move to a different place.
I want to go back to Jansen. So he was widely, I guess, popular there. He gets a great opportunity at UT. I'm sure he's already in Austin. How much will you think it takes for him? It's a head coaching job. It's at Arizona. He's got obviously a commitment there, but now he's at a place that is one of the alphas. What do you think it's going to take?
Honestly, I think he takes it no matter what. I really do. He wants to be a head coach. This is his opportunity. They don't come around very often. He's beloved here. The players absolutely love him. He's well liked in the community. I like Johnny a lot. He's a guy where I think he would take it. And I think Sark, who he's close friends with, that was one of the reasons why he went to Texas. I think Sark would probably tell him to take it because who knows when an opportunity like that comes along. And, Arizona gave him a chance and Arizona was upset when he left, but he could easily come back and no one would blame him for anything.
It's Jason Scheer, WildcatAuthority.com. It's been crazy the way it is. Is there a wild card in the coaching search, in your opinion, that we have not mentioned?
I don't know if there's a wild card. I would keep an eye on Cal head coach Justin Wilcox. He interviewed already. I'm not sure how serious of a candidate he is yet, but he was one of the first interviews. That's a move. We talked about conference realignment. Since Cal went to the ACC, there's been rumors that he's not happy with the move at all. No Cal coach is happy with the move. So that is definitely one that I wouldn't be surprised at all if he emerged as the guy.
All right, Jason, would you please stop creating news? We know you love our show, and we love you on the show, but my good, and we'll have you on once they make a decision. We appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate
Jason Scheer, 247 Sports, WildcatAuthority.com.
Yeah, it's a bummer for Arizona, that's for sure. We said at the top of the show that they were poised to roll into the Big 12 as one of the early favorites with Tetsuroa McMillan set to come back, who's one of the best wide receivers in the entire country, and certainly Noah Fafita, one of the best up-and-coming quarterbacks in the entire country. And you're going to start there, and there's others, but now they're slowly getting into the transfer portal where they're moving on. And, what's left over for whoever the new head coach is going to be, we'll see, but sounds like it's moving fast. It has to. I mean, you can't really afford to have a long, drawn-out search, and the ones that do nowadays are the ones that typically fire their coach mid-season and then start that search in like October, right? Or hire their coach and have him roll into the offices before the season's over with to start to get ready for the next recruiting class and the next season. So these things move quickly, and you have no choice but to do that. Otherwise, you are going to, possibly miss out on being able to hold your roster together, or you're going to flail in recruiting right out of the gates. And so, yeah, not surprised to hear that Arizona's moving quick, but it does seem like they kind of got one hand tied behind their back in so many ways when you kind of read the tea leaves as far as the school's finances, and there's this kind of brewing. He touched on that, but it's a shame because I know there's a lot of people out there in Tucson and wider Wildcats fans who probably were excited for the first time in a long time, and you got a season really of good to latch onto. In the moment you're like, maybe I'll buy season tickets, it's like he's out of here, and it's back to who knows what the heck Arizona football looks like post Jedd Fisch, because he is a good coach. So yeah, that's a bummer. And for the Big 12, you felt like you had a school rolling in hot, and now it remains to be seen of just how hot they will be, or if they even resemble the Arizona Wildcats team that we saw beating Oklahoma in the bowl game just a few weeks back.